Hey, everyone, and welcome back to the Inclusioneer Lab Podcast, where we talk about the fusion of design, guest experience, and innovation in hospitality. Today, I have a really special guest on with me. Miss Nile Tuzun is with me, and it's just a pleasure to have her on. I was telling her before we hit record here, I kind of have like a business crush on her because she's an interior designer, I think by training, and we could talk about that in just a minute. But she encompasses so much. So, Nile, can you just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Absolutely. Hi, Mike. Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And sure thing. So my name is Nile, and I am the founder and creative director of Studio Nile brand. And Studio Nile brand is a traditional interior design and architecture studio. And we work on hospitality projects. We work on anything that touches a hotel, meaning hotels and spas and branded residences, along with mixed-use residential and many different creative projects that we have on the boards right now. My background is in, I'm educated in architecture. I have a master's degree in architecture. And fun facts about me that I'm one of the 11 architects in my family, actually. And I've known that I want to be an architect since I was 16 years old. So I think that was kind of in my blood. I don't know. I grew up around architecture, interior design, art all my life. And the hospitality portion comes, I think, on a cultural note for me, because I grew up I was born and raised in Istanbul, Turkey, and hospitality is a very big part of our lives, and it's a way of life for us in my culture. And I have carried that all throughout my life, and that's how I end up in the hospitality world, and I love it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I had no idea. We've been friends for a while, but I had no idea that you have 11 people in your family that are in the architecture business. I can't even imagine what happens like during family dinners or get-togethers, family reunions. Like,
that's right. Exactly.
Do you turn it into like a design charrette where like all of a sudden you guys are breaking up, the napkins and drawing things? Or I can't even imagine.
That's true. So out of the 11, not all of them are practicing. Some of them are doing other businesses, but there's a couple, coming. I'm actually the youngest of the 11. So there's a couple that's coming behind me, and it's fun because we always talk about creative stuff, and architecture and interior design it touches everything, right? Everything that we do in our world, and it influences our behavior, the designs that we make, and we have so much responsibility as architects and interior designers on how people behave and how they feel in a space. So, and I think that's some of the points that we'll be talking about today.
Yeah. When we were kind of going back and forth, getting ready to record this, one of the things that stuck out to me was how you said hospitality, like you said, kind of touches everything. Everybody's kind of in the hospitality business. Can you just kind of elaborate on that a little bit and tell our viewers kind of your thought process behind that?
Absolutely. So lately, because I think I travel a lot and I have some downtime, I've been thinking a lot about the word hospitality. So in my industry, I hear people introduce themselves saying, I'm a hospitality developer, or I'm a hospitality designer, or I'm a hospitality consultant. Even when I introduce myself, I say I'm a hospitality designer. So that's part of our job title. It's part of our websites, our marketing material, and our conversations almost all the time. And so I find myself asking the question, what does hospitality actually mean? What do we mean by that? And so I spend a lot of time traveling from project to project. And one of the unexpected gifts of that lifestyle is that you get some quiet time to yourself where you get to think about these things. And I realized that I don't believe hospitality belongs exclusively to hotels. It actually belongs to all businesses. And what I mean by that is that hospitality is the intentional act of making somebody feel welcomed and valued and comfortable and cared for, right? So it's about creating an experience where people feel like they belong to a space. And that's why I say that we're all in the hospitality business. No matter what product you're selling, no matter what service you're selling, you're there to make people feel welcomed and feel comfortable and valued and cared for. So that's why it doesn't matter if you're an architect, if you are a CEO, or if you are a barista, or if you are a flight attendant, or if you are someone, whatever industry you may be, it's all about what kind of experiences are we creating for others that makes it hospitable for everyone. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. And tell me, I mean, because I think that sometimes we do this in the industry as well, but we interchange hospitality with customer service or, guest experience or whatever. But it's much broader than that. Can you kind of tell me what the difference is between, creating a hospitable environment and just like service in general?
Absolutely. Service is something that's kind of expected, right? But hospitality is something that is intentional and also anticipating someone's needs before they even ask for it. So if somebody asks me a glass of water or a glass of champagne, I am giving it to them, and that's my service to them. But if I can anticipate their need before they even verbalize what they need, that becomes hospitality. So it's very intuitive, it's very intentional, and also it's being present in the moment and trying to understand other people's needs before they even verbalize it. So to me, that's the difference between a service and really what hospitality is. It's a genuine interaction and interest in the other person and taking care of them to the best of your abilities at that moment.
Yeah, and I think that in today's world, when we talk about anticipating needs, the first thing that comes to mind for a lot of people is technology. So like, oh, AI can help us anticipate the need because, for instance, we can see that they,
Right.
if you're visiting a restaurant, this guest has ordered the same bottle of wine 3 times in a row. And so when you show up at the table, there's that bottle of wine.
Right.
But there's more to it than just getting data, right? And I think
Right.
that's something that we've touched on with other guests recently is you can bring data into the equation, but that doesn't necessarily make something hospitable. That doesn't, always help you anticipate the need or something unique that might pop up in a moment. And I think it's really important that we don't lose that real true meaning of hospitality and being in that moment, right? With your customer or your guest or whoever, and not just rely on technology. That was a long-winded way of saying AI.
No.
A good thing, but it also complicates the world that we live in right now as well.
No, absolutely. And I think AI is here to stay, right? I mean, it's a fact. It is a fact of life, and it's gonna be even more of a fact of life in our lives. And we have to utilize AI in the sense that it can free us up from these repetitive tasks, if you will, so that we can actually have time for that human connection. We can have that time for that moment and take the time to take care of one another. So I'm not against AI, and I think AI is an important part of what we do. It automates daily tasks, and it makes things more streamlined for us, perhaps. And we can definitely use it to enhance our task flow, if you will, so that it can leave us the time that's the important time that we can connect with our guests and take care of them with that human connection.
Yeah. And something else that came up in our pre-recording conversations is this idea that every business can be in the hospitality business. It's not just hotels or residences or restaurants or spas, what have you. Everyone can be in a hospitality business. Can you kind of talk about that? I know you've been pondering that thought as well quite a bit lately.
Sure, absolutely. So the more I think about this, I think hospitality starts with the individual first. So as an individual, you have to take care of yourself first so that you can take care of others, right? So when you're sitting on that airplane and the announcement comes on, says, put the mask on you first and then help others put their mask on. It's kind of like the same concept in my head. If I don't know how to take care of myself and I don't know how to be good to myself, how can I be good to you in return, right? So it starts with the individual, then it starts with the families, then it goes into our community, then it goes into our businesses, and it goes into our wider world and world economies, right? To me, it's a domino effect. And some of the businesses that have some good examples of, other than hotels are perhaps Starbucks, right? Starbucks have created these like third spaces that people feel like they belong and they can go meet their friends. They can have a business meeting, and always every time that I go, doesn't matter what you feel about Starbucks, every time you go there, I get consistent service. I get consistently genuine, welcoming, and a name written on my cup with a smiley face. These little touches that really make people feel like they are welcomed. They feel like they matter, and that you are individualizing your experience for the guests with their name on the cup, or even just a simple hello, and just recognizing them when they come over and over to your space. The other place is, I think, who does a good job is Disney is another company. They have create a whole world on hospitality and making people welcome. Other companies I know, perhaps Ritz-Carlton is a great example for that, because employees can make decisions and spend money when they see that a guest needs something, and then they don't have to get approval from their management in order to make the guests feel better. So these are different experiences, but it starts in the boardroom. And again, with the companies, if it starts from the top and it goes to the bottom, right? If the CEO and the management and the operations, and if we don't take care of our employees, they cannot take care of the guests. So we have to create environments for our staff members at hotels or anywhere in the world, in any corporation or any business, that you have to take care of your people so that they can in return take care of your guests, right? That's the whole philosophy. That's why we're in the business of hospitality. It starts in the boardroom. It starts before we even put that first line on that drawing, and creating spaces for people to belong to. It's very it's very encompassing. I think I can't say that word, but you know what I mean. So it's not just one thing. It's many different things. And again, it starts with the top, with the CEOs, in the boardroom and the management companies, and it trickles down to the guest experience.
Yeah, man, you just hit on three things that I want to kind of explore, because those are three fantastic examples. I'm thinking about Starbucks, and I'm blanking on the guy's name. I'm sitting here while you're talking, trying to come up with the CEO's name. He came from Chipotle and moved to Starbucks. But it's fascinating. This big brand, they've been around forever. That's what he brought back to the company. Writing those personal messages on your cup again, knowing your name.
There's such small details, right? I mean, sorry to cut you off, but Starbucks is not just selling coffee, and that's what I wanted to touch on. They are selling a feeling. They're intentionally created these third places, not home, not work, but a third space that people can go and they belong, and they're welcomed, and they can relax, they can meet, they can work, they can simply pause for a minute. And coffee is important, but the experience is what they built the brand on. So it's all about the experience economy that we're in when we're creating these hospitality spaces, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how there's almost a psychology element to this too, right? That I think a lot of people miss or look over. Just that warming feeling. I'm thinking about Disney. This is the Inclusioneer Lab podcast, and I call myself the Inclusioneer in Chief. I stole that from Walt Disney because he had Imagineers, and that's back in the 50s and 60s when Disneyland opened. That was their idea, was to bring the psychological element to. I don't even know if they knew what they were onto in the moment. Walt just kind of had this vision of like amusement parks reimagined, but with these environments that they built that are just, I'm a huge Disney fan, and when you go, you just, when you step through the front gates of the park, you're home. And I'm not the only one that feels that way. So
they created a whole world. I mean, can you imagine? And going back to Starbucks, it's Howard Schultz. I just remembered Howard Schultz vision, creating that third space. At the end of the day, all of this, you might say, well, how does this affect my business? Why should I even care? Because at the end of the day, people are willing to pay $6, $7, $8, $9 per cup
100%.
for a cup of coffee when they could, make that coffee for a fraction of the cost at home. But they choose to be in these spaces because they feel like they're welcomed and they belong and they are wanted and they are heard and they feel comfortable. And so it also it becomes a revenue generating space when you really take care of people. And the same thing goes for Disney, all the products that they're selling. So it does affect the bottom line at the end of the day.
Yeah, man, you're setting me up perfectly for my next questions here because, shameless plug here, but if you go back a couple episodes on this podcast, I did an episode with Dina Bellin, who's the president of Stay Pineapple Hotels, and they have this thing called Surprise and Delight, right, where they give anybody on their staff freedom to do anything to make their guests feel special and unique. She told a story. I won't go back through it all, about this front desk staff member who found out that the whole reason this mother and daughter had gone to this hotel in the city was to visit a specific restaurant. Well, they got there and it was closed. And so it was a special, I think it was maybe Vietnamese cuisine or something like that. This front desk staff member found out about that experience, that poor experience. The next day she came back and made them a homemade meal. The signature dish. Now that's going above and beyond.
Above and beyond. And I commend them for doing something like that. That takes a lot of awareness.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of awareness as a company and as your staff members, and it goes to show how well they have trained them, right, and made them feel comfortable as staff members to be authentically involved in the lives of others in a way. Because when the guests come to your hotel, they're creating stories and they become part of a story. So can you imagine, this is like the best marketing material that they can ever have, because these people are going to go home and they're going to talk about this to their friends, to their family members. And then that's how you create repeat business. Not only the people who have just experienced your space, but also others who now they heard about the story and they want to come and check out your hotel or your business as well. So this is just a very authentic and organic way of really introducing your business and staying relevant in people's lives. So I'm very, it's very difficult to do, but if you can do it, I think that's just incredible.
And it's interesting because you being a general, you might feel like you have to either choose kind of great hospitality or bottom line, right? You can either be revenue focused or customer focused, and that's just not the case. So it's just amazing how what am I trying to say here? I think that people think you have to do things for an altruistic reason, Like everyone deserves better guest experience. That's true, but you can do that and still make a profit, be a good business, run a profitable business. That's what I was getting at. I'm all over the place today, but
no,
it
you're
goes
right.
hand in hand.
Oh, absolutely. It goes back to that whole Starbucks thing. People don't mind spending $6, $7, $8 per cup of coffee when they can make the same coffee at home for a fraction of the cost. So it becomes a revenue generating in space. And then luxury. So sometimes people also confuse luxury with hospitality, and I want to touch on that for a second.
Please.
Luxury is expensive, right? But hospitality is generous in my mind. And luxury is about maybe marble and these expensive finishes in a hotel. But hospitality is all about remembering maybe someone's name. And luxury is maybe a beautiful lobby that we create as designers, but hospitality is making someone feel like they belong to that beautiful lobby. So there's a fine line between luxury, hospitality, the bottom line, and there's also different kinds of hotels, right? There's the business hotel where the guest comes in and out overnight. It's a transient hotel. There's a resort hotel where guests stay maybe 3-4 nights and they experience the space in a different way. So when we talk about the word hospitality and the concept of hospitality, it seems so simple, but yet it's also very complex. I mean, it's the very genuine interaction between you and your guest, but how you get to that point is also a very complex way of approaching it. Simple yet complex. So it I think deserves a lot more conversation and discussion on this. And I think every business should sit down and consider, are we being a hospitable company, and are we making our guests and people feel like they belong here, that they want to be here, and what's the human experience that we are giving to our guests?
Yeah, and to kind of bring this back to the view of inclusion and accessibility, because that's what I do, right? That's a shift that I noticed, and I've made in when I talk to my clients. This is not just a compliance conversation.
Right.
When I started out doing this a few years ago, I felt like, oh, we need better accessibility. And what I realized is we need better hospitality. That's what it comes back down to, is a better experience, not just for the average guest, but for every guest. And if we can deliver that for the edge cases or the unique cases, then we can deliver it for everybody.
Exactly. And when you stop focusing only on the transaction and start focusing on the human experience, and the business usually improves anyway, right? So it's not just delivering the minimum of, okay, accessibility is this and a guest needs that, but really understanding people's needs on an individual base. And I think Dina also talked about personalization or hyper personalization in their services. And that's amazing to me, because to be able to deliver that kind of service is difficult, but they are doing it and they are achieving really good results. So I commend them for that. So it's actually incredibly strategic. So if you think about it, you have to strategically and intentionally commit to the real root of hospitality, and see how your business is affected by that in a positive manner.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a fascinating concept, and I'm so glad that we're having these conversations. I think we need more of these conversations, and I think these kind of conversations need to be brought out to the population at large, because when it comes to hospitality specifically, I think we're all focused on, well, I'm a Marriott guy, or I'm a Hilton honors member, whatever. It comes down to loyalty, and I think so many times people assume that loyalty equates to member points, or how many nights you've stayed, how many points you've accrued. But there's so much more to it than just loyalty. I'm a gold member, I'm a platinum member. all of these things.
Exactly. So it's the hospitality is, I think, in any business, is the competitive advantage, right? So hospitality is expected in hotels. Now, though, it differentiates every business, and technology is making products similar. Hospitality makes brands unforgettable. So why do people call themselves, I'm a, Marriott Bonvoy member, or I'm a Hilton Honors member? Because they resonate with that brand and how that brand makes you feel belong to their world, and how it makes you feel welcomed and remembered. And it's because we're designing how people feel. We're not designing spaces. And I keep going back and forth in my mind about this whole thing, is that even though I'm a designer, I'm a hotel designer, after 25 years of designing hotels, I came to realize that I'm not designing spaces. I'm really designing experiences for the people who are in it, because design has the power to affect people's emotion, right? And so having with that, I mean, we can, it's the same thing. For example, I want to give another example. For example,
sure.
In a hospital, there's a waiting room versus in a luxury spa, there is the co-ed lounge. Both have seating, both have lighting, both have people waiting, but yet one creates stress and the other one creates calm. Why? Because every design decision that we make influences how people, it affects their heart rate, it affects their stress levels, it affects their conversation, their movement, confidence, and comfort. So designers and architects have so much responsibility in creating environments that make people feel good. It makes them feel welcomed. It makes them feel like they want to linger longer. And when they linger longer, then they spend more money. And, it's the whole psychology behind hospitality and design. I think they go hand in hand.
Yeah, it really influences human behavior, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I've been very curious about neuroscience and how it affects, human behavior, and also it's connected to design and hospitality. So I'll come back to you on that at a different podcast. But I'm very interested in the idea of neuroscience and how we design spaces and make people feel in them.
Yeah, that is. Again, psychology, neuroscience. There's a scientific element to design that's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So put on your design hat for a minute. Can you just kind of talk more about designing? We've kind of touched around this a lot in this episode, but I want to talk specifically about design itself, not fixtures necessarily, the marble countertops or the fixture, the light fixtures, but designing an experience where you feel at home the second you walk in. When you're designing, when you're working on a project, how do you bring what's in your mind to the to paper, so to speak, or I'm sure you use a computer these days. No one's drafting anymore, and then know that it's going to work out once the property actually opens someday.
So this is an interesting question, because I tend to approach any design, not through my lens, but from the owner's vision, their investment, and the operator's vision. And so there's many different aspects that go into, if we were to talk about hotel design, for example, there are many different aspects to a hotel design. One is the the owner's investment. The other is the operator who's going to be operating the space. So it has to be efficient. And then there's the staff workflow, right? And then at the end of the day, what we're doing all this for is for the guest experience. Mm-hmm. So I see myself as a choreographer of all of these disciplines that's coming together. It's never one thing alone. It's not just, people assume that design is about aesthetics, about beautiful furnitures, finishes, lighting, or color palettes. Those things matter for sure, but they're on the surface. And to me, they're kind of like a theater backdrop. So the architecture and the interior design creates the backdrop to what people will be, how the people will be utilizing the space, right? So if we were having an improvisational dancers in a space, if you will, how they interact with that space shows their emotion. So great design is really about influencing human behavior. And it's about reducing stress and creating comfort and encouraging connection and inspiring creativity and all those special moments that we created for. So in the world of hospitality design, we have to also, think about not the front of house, but there's also the back of the house areas that we talk about, the service areas, right? So to me, that's the most important part of the whole hotel design. That's what we call the heart of house. That's where the whole thing actually works to deliver the service that we need for the guests that are experiencing the front of the house, because usually, or most of the time, the guest never sees the back of the house and how the service areas function. They only see the beautiful architecture, the interior design, and then the service that they're getting. So my job as an architect or an interior designer is to bring all of these things together and make it an efficient space for the operator, thinking about the bottom line for the investor, as well as the staff who's going to be servicing these areas along with the guest experience. It actually becomes a very complex pyramid, if you will. So I never approach it from what I think a space should be. I kind of put that ego aside because it's really, I'm an orchestrator. As a designer, I'm an orchestrator. I'm a choreographer. I bring people together to make sure that they have a cohesive design in the end for it to work efficiently and also be a pleasant experience for everybody else. But like I said, I look at every project individually. I look at it in a very specific location. What is that culture? What the culture is in, and listen to the ownership. We do a lot of listening instead of talking, because that's what makes, I think, a good designer. A good designer can design spaces that are good for the guest experience, obviously, but a great designer, creates spaces that are good for operations as well. So it's not just one thing alone. You have to consider many things as a designer when you're designing a hotel.
Yeah, and you talked about the choreography or the dancing that happens in the front of house, right? Yeah. The same dance is happening in the back of house, but it's moving way faster and crazy, faster. And
there's stress, there's a lot of action happening in the back. And to me, that's the most exciting part of the whole hotel, is the back of houses. I get so excited when I'm actually doing the floor plans and the layouts for the back of house areas, because you have to consider, how quickly the room service, let's say in a resort, we consider where the in-room dining kitchen area is and how quickly it will get to the rooms before the food gets cold, right? Yeah. So, and how many minutes it takes. And then also housekeeping, you have to consider I want to say 18 to 20 minutes. Housekeeping has to turn over clean rooms so that the next guest can move in. All of this, it has a formula and it has time restrictions. So there's a big engine that works in the back of house areas that most guests don't ever experience. All they care about is that their food got to their room warm enough and on time so that they can they can have a good experience with that. They don't really know what's going on in the back of the house areas before that food gets to them. So those are the things that we always talk about and that's part of, the hospitality idea as well.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted man, you're just
It's
giving me so
fascinating.
many things to think about today. I've talked to a
I
lot
love I love the world of hospitality. I'm so passionate about it. I love it. I have been doing this for 25 years, and I couldn't have imagined my career being in any other industry other than the hospitality industry. Let it be design, operations, development, all of that. It's so fascinating to me. It's amazing.
So even go back. Imagine you could go back and tell Nile from 25 years ago one thing. What would you tell Nile 25 years ago? She was just dipping her toes into this world that will engulf her for the rest of her life.
I think I would say, always go with your gut feeling, because I knew without a doubt, I had no reservations about becoming an architect, and that's not because I had so many architects in my family. It's because it was my connection to design, and it feeds my curiosity, right? This whole design world feeds my curiosity. It allows me to travel to different countries. It allows me to meet incredible people, amazing people from all over the world. And everybody has a story. And I think that's why I was so attracted to design and also hospitality, because we are creating spaces that allow people to have stories, and we become storytellers, if you will. And that word is used a lot too in the hospitality world. But truly, we do create spaces, then in return, have people create stories and memories for themselves. So my first gut reaction was when I became a designer, I never went away from that. And I never questioned it once. And I'm glad that I trusted my gut feeling. And even though a lot of people said to me, being in the industry at the time, experienced people, get out of it now while you can, because this is a tough industry. This is just, architecture is hard, and design is, everybody's a designer, but not everybody is you. So you bring something different to the table, and you bring a different perspective with your background and with who you are. We all contribute to the world of hospitality and design in a different way. So you just have to use your own personal skills to utilize, create spaces, and touch people in a way that they will remember in a nice way, hopefully. So I'm glad that I never I stuck to my guts, and even to this day, I'm so happy that I chose the profession that I chose, and I'm very happy with it. And never question yourself. Your gut feeling is the right feeling, so go with that.
That's amazing. And I think that it takes so much, I was going to say confidence, but I don't mean that in sort of a boastful way. But confidence to continue to trust your gut, and not stray one way or the other, or not let other people's opinions or one-off comments or whatever influence who you are at your core. That is such an important trait, no matter what business you're in, no matter what you're doing in life, whether you're in business or a mother or a father or what have you. We're influenced by so many people, and I know for me personally, I don't always trust my gut. So you've taught me a lesson today, and that is to trust my gut, and so that's awesome.
We know, Mike, as individual, if we can connect to ourselves, and this, like when I said, hospitality starts with the individual before it can get out to the world. Before we can make a difference in somebody else, we have to first be hospitable to ourselves. And that comes with compassion, that comes with acceptance, and that comes with, being easy on ourselves first, so that we can in return give those things to other people. So trusting your gut, and when something this is off the topic of hospitality, maybe, but maybe not. But as you're connected as an individual to yourself, then you can become a better person for others, and then therefore you can make a better world out there. And it maybe sounds too idealistic, but I don't think so. And if we can all start with ourselves first, then maybe there will be less wars in the world in the future.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier in the episode, and that struck me as well, because you said something to the effect of, if you don't take care of yourself, basically, you can't take care of other people. And when you're a designer that's designing these experiences for folks, because you are not designing one of my favorite sayings from Dina is, I don't know why we keep bringing up Dina, other than she's a fantastic person.
She's amazing.
But she calls them the cardboard box chains, right? And so back to the idea, though, of taking care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, there's no way you're going to be able to take care of others around you, or communicate effectively with owners and operators and everyone that's in the room. And you can't be a good choreographer or conductor.
Absolutely. No, that is very true. And also, you have to enable people to do what they do best, because people don't get into the hospitality business if they didn't like people. So
Right.
You're usually in that industry because you actually like to serve and you like to take care of others, and also you like people in general. And if you can allow people to do what they do best and empower them to make decisions accordingly, then it becomes an experience for the guest that's unforgettable, just like in Dina's company's case.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I think that, to me, it has it's actually sounds so simple, but yet it's kind of complicated, because it touches on psychology, it touches on design, it touches on operations, it touches on how we train our staff at these properties to take care of others. It has to be a whole cohesive approach to hospitality, not just design only. Design is a very small portion of really what we do, very small portion. And I understood that a long time ago. And I said, I'm a hotel designer. I'm creating these spaces, but I've been to hotels that have been beautifully designed, but the service didn't add up. Or I have been to very modest, let's say, hotels, and I've stayed in all kinds of hotels throughout my career. Expensive hotels to very motels. I've experienced it all. So to me, you can have a very modest hotel, but great service, and that hotel will stay in your mind and you will come back to it. So that's where the repeat business comes from. That's where revenue generation comes from. So it's not just one thing. It starts with a simple line on a drawing, and that simple line becomes a real wall, a real space where people experience, and in return, how you treat these people in those spaces is what gets your guest to become a repeat guest, therefore affecting your bottom line. So it's all tied together. It's a domino effect. It can't be just. And I know sometimes I want to touch on one more thing that just came to mind: brands. There are amazing brands out there, hotel brands out there, right? And they create these brand standards, and they have, beautiful cultures that they create on paper. And then they hand this off to, the property. Once the property opens, the property is supposed to function with these brand standards in mind, right? But it's not, there's a disconnect between the brand as well as operations on site. So now the brand culture doesn't carry all the way through. So who's in charge of that? Who's the ambassador? Who is making sure that the brand standards are being carried all the way through to guest experience? So all of these touch points that we're talking about today, like I said, it's not just design, it's not just operations, it's not only the philosophy, the idea, or the word hospitality, or the investment, or the owner's investment. It all has to work cohesively together in order to make a successful hotel brand.
Yeah, and then you have the brand, and then you oftentimes have the management company too that owns several hotels, but they own Hyatt's, Hilton's,
Mhm.
Marriott, maybe a
True.
few independent properties. So
Right.
that, I'm sure, is a delicate dance as well, because they're having to juggle all of these different brand standards, and that's where you get that dilution,
Absolutely.
to where it's like, to use a math term, standardization to the mean, right?
Right.
Everything kind of comes back.
Exactly.
And that's why I love working with smaller independent hotels so much, because they the closer you are to that brand and that ethos of who you are as a company, the more you can really control that and make it unique. Although, as you brought up earlier in the show, I mean, look at Starbucks. They're doing
Yeah.
an amazing job. Look at
Exactly.
Disney with thousands and thousands of employees and thousands of guests
Right.
coming through. So I guess it
That's
is that kind of delicate balance, maybe.
absolutely. And then, before maybe we close, I wanted to
Yeah,
give one example about this whole hospitality thing. I want to tie it back to the hospitality.
please.
One of my projects is, in construction, sometimes you have delays and we're, I'm the creative director for the entire property, and I've also done the interior design. The construction is taking a little bit longer than anticipated. And
Mhm.
for the ballroom areas that we have, we already have bookings, right? So,
Mm.
and then, rightfully so, the young couple who is going to have their wedding in this beautiful ballroom, they were concerned, is it going to be finished on time? Are we going to
Sure.
be able to have our beautiful wedding as we imagined it? And so they reached out to us, and we have been very good at communicating, because on this project, I'm also the owner's representative, right? So I'm in the communication with what's happening between construction and design and operations and all of that.
Oh,
And so I reached out to them. I said, hey guys, let's have a Zoom call to talk about the construction and where we are at. And I want to keep you guys in the loop and hear about your concerns and see if I can put your mind at ease that we will be meeting your deadline for 2027. This is 10 months out. So we are supposed to be finished in the next couple of months. So please rest assured that we will be meeting the deadline. And what I offer them is, let's have a Zoom call every week so that I can give you an update on the construction, right? So that's the least I can do for you. So you're a young couple, you're in your 20s, you're just starting out your life. You really don't want your wedding to move to another property.
yeah.
From this beautiful ballroom to another one, because we can't meet construction deadlines, let's say.
Right.
But this is a very small example of hospitality outside of the hotel. So I see these people who are going to be experiencing the space that we are creating, and they're going to be the first ones to have their wedding in this beautiful ballroom that we are bringing back to life. And their experience is going to create either, them talking badly about us or talking positively about their experience, right? So this is beyond the design, beyond the actual hotel operations. This is before we even open the hotel. We are exercising our hospitality philosophy here. What is it? Before we even have the hotel open, we are trying to take care of the guests before we even have a website.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, it
So
does.
it,
Yeah.
it's caring enough. I could say, look, I don't know if I'm going to meet this deadline. I want to be very conservative. I'm just going to move you to another property, because we can do that, as you know.
Absolutely.
We can give them a heads up and say, hey, we're 10 months out, but I think maybe you should move to another property. You're good. We're good. No, we made a commitment to these people, and our job is to, as hospitality leaders and people in this hospitality industry, to take care of the guest to our best of our abilities. So what do we offer in the meantime? We put their concerns to ease. We hear them out. We understand their concerns so that we can take care of them in a way that that we feel that is hospitable in this industry.
Yeah. Well, I just have to ask, what was the reaction from the owner and the operator and whoever else that you're kind of managing on the project when you said, "Hey, I want to give an update to one couple who are planning their wedding in 2027, and I want to put their concerns at ease."
That's right.
What
Um,
was the reaction in the room, so to speak, to that?
So everybody has a different kind of reaction, right? The ownership was kind of pleased. They're like, this is as an ownership group, we want to have that good impression, obviously,
Mhm.
on our future guests too. This is beyond what maybe other companies would do, but to me, it was very important as Nile, as someone in this industry. Before, if it gets to that point that I have to move them to another property, we will, but we're not there yet. But I would rather have them have an ease of mind that here's a young couple who are starting out their life together to have a pleasant experience before they even have their wedding, and they were so sweet and they were so understanding and they were so like, yes, this is wonderful. And we love the fact that you designed this space and you created, we want you to be part of this too. So do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
It's not a transaction to us. It should never be a transaction, because at the end of the day, the business takes care of itself if you can move away from that and genuinely show interest and care and concern for the other person's needs, that the business takes care of itself anyway.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to, and we are confident that we're going to have their wedding, but I felt very good. I made two good friends, young friends now that will be having a call every week to give them an update. And, I think that's the proper way of handling it. That's
Sure.
the way to take care of people. So,
Wow. Well, man, we could go in a myriad of other
we can.
directions, but
Yes. There's so much to talk about.
but there's two things I want to kind of talk about to wrap up with you. Number one is the future of hospitality, and number two is where you see, or sorry, where what advice you would give to young designers and architects and maybe even kids in high school that are thinking about getting into this industry. But before we do that, I just want to remind people to please like this episode, subscribe to the channel, and also make sure to turn those notifications on. We have some really exciting announcements coming up soon that I want you to make sure you're aware of. So, Niall, in closing, there's a couple different ways I want to go with this. Number one, I want to talk about the future of hospitality, where you see it going, the industry, and then also I want you to talk to people, especially girls and women that are interested in getting into design and architecture and all these things, because it's a lost art. But let's talk about hospitality. If you could kind of peer into the future, think about 2036, 10 years from now, what do you see in your little crystal ball?
Sure. I think, AI will definitely become more of a part of our lives in any industry. And, but it cannot replace genuine human warmth, empathy, intuition, and emotional intelligence. And technology will definitely remove friction, and it will streamline things and make it easy for us. And that's a good thing, because then people can create the magic that they need to create in all industries, and especially in the hospitality industry. And the best hospitality companies will use this technology to free their employees to be more present and have time to create memorable experiences for the guests they're in their space. And the human interaction is, I think, is going to be more meaningful, hopefully, in hospitality rather than just processing paperwork. So I see AI definitely not going anywhere, obviously, but I think we can use that to our advantage to create more human connection and be more present in the lives of others that we're creating the difference for.
Mm.
So that's one thing. And then one more thing that I want to touch on is that hotels, I think more so than function, they will be designed around emotion to make people feel uh, to make people feel more, at ease and reduce anxiety and improve mood and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah. And that's such an important thing from the disability inclusion lens, right? Because you have so many folks these days that are neurodivergent or have ADHD or ADD, and understanding those emotions and regulating those emotions is so important for those group of people, but really anybody, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Hospitality is for everyone, and personalization will definitely it will become more important. And from lighting preferences to your favorite coffee, to your pillow type, to dietary restrictions, or anything that is personalized towards you is going to be even more important.
yeah, yeah.
So
Um, it,
for the youngsters,
yeah, yeah.
for the young
Talk to the
people,
youngsters for a minute, because I think this is so important. I was so inspired listening to you earlier in the episode, kind of talking about where you came from and trusting your gut. And it's not a question I ask all my guests, but I just wanted you to talk to the younger crew
yeah.
that might be listening to this right now.
First of all, I love talking to younger people. I love connecting with them, and they have great ideas, and they are so much more tapped in than we ever were when we were their
Yeah,
age, right? I think they are
yeah,
born differently. They are smarter than us. They are more resourceful. They are more connected, and they are more intuitive. And to never to lose that intuition and to stay with that. But if I can add one thing, and I think this comes with just experience and life experience and work experience, is that there are no shortcuts. So
yeah,
although AI will be there to make things easy for us, still, if you want to excel in your field, you have to work hard. There's no way around it. And if you stay curious and if you stay hard, if you work hard, you will definitely succeed, and life will take you in different areas. And just because you're a designer doesn't mean that you have to do design, because it can open up many different doors for you to go experience the world in different ways. So stay true to who you are. Always listen to your intuition, and work very hard and stay curious. And I think those are the things that will get anyone far in life. So
that that is so great. Work hard, stay curious. I
definitely
love
stay
that.
curious and listen to our intuition.
And listen to your intuition. Absolutely. Well, whether it's an owner or an operator looking for your services, or people just wanting to learn more about who you are, or maybe a young mentee who
Yeah,
goes, man, that Nile is just awesome, and I want to get a hold of her. Um, how can we get a hold of you? How can we follow your journey, what you're up to
absolutely.
online?
Absolutely. I'm on LinkedIn as everybody else, and my email address is niletuzun@nilebrand.com. It's I have open door policy. Please reach out. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And I'm always here. I try to get back to people even though I'm traveling, and so I'm happy to hear from anyone and everyone. So please reach out. Feel free, and yeah, I hope we can connect.
Yeah, and I just have to say, that's how you and I got connected.
Yeah.
A mutual friend said, "You might wanna reach out to this person," and left it
Yeah.
at that, left it at that,
Absolutely.
and I sent you an email, and boom, here we are about a year later, we're still talking, and we have exciting stuff coming up. I don't know when this episode is coming out, so I don't wanna,
Yeah.
spoil the surprise just yet, but,
No worries.
Niall, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure as always, and we will be sure to follow you on your journey, and I'd love to have you back on the show at some point.
Thank you, Mike. And I appreciate you having this platform for us to come on here and talk about different ideas in hospitality. I really, truly appreciate it. And I had so much fun today. So I hope I can come back and we can talk about hospitality more and the other things that we have going on. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Let's do it. Yeah, just another shameless plug. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell. So much fun stuff coming up. I can't wait to tell you all about it. There's going to be lots and lots of content that you're not going to want to miss out on. So with that, I will sign off.